The whole world was being punished for turning a blind eye to the Japanese escalated aggression. The unity of China was at stake. Yet, Japanese military took the full advantages of the appeasement of the world. In 1931, Kwantung Army launched the bloodiest invasion. Cities were destroyed, innocent civilians were buried alive, and streets were awash with blood of women and children. However, the killings failed to demeaning Chinese, merely served to promote the faith of patriotism. The flame of a sense of belonging could not be distinguished. China's victims will forever leave their marks on Japanese military and humanitarian history. A close inspection revealed something far more spine-chilling in Xi'an incident. Chiang Kai-shek's policy resisting foreign aggression after stabilizing the interior led to continuous occupation of Chinese territory by Kwantung Army. The Young Marshal regretted following Chiang Kai-shek's policy deeply and was mournful by what Chiang's policy. All he gets was telegrams urging him to encircle and purge the Communist Party. Northeast China has become a purgatory. What's the big deal of dying is nothing more than moving a house. This was Zhang Xueliang's catchphrase. In 1936, after failing repeatedly attempting to persuade Chiang Kai-shek to change the policy, Zhang Xueliang and Yang Hucheng requested Chiang Kai-shek to come to Xi'an to inspect his army, and immediately launched a military coup after Chiang Kai-shek arrived at his stay. Peacefully resolved, Zhang Xueliang accompanied Chiang Kai-shek to Nanking. The military court sentenced Zhang 10 years in prison. He was later pardoned by Chiang Kai-shek, though handed over to military commission for strict control. Zhang Xueliang, in his later book, Reflection on the Xi'an Incident, recalled the mishaps of the incident, saying that had the First Lady Song Meiling been in Xi'an through the time, the Xi'an incident would not necessarily be occurred. In Century Travels, the biography of Zhang Xueliang described the details in this way. My survival was utterly due to the grace of Song Meiling. Mr. Chang was definitely going to kill me. Not until I saw a document written by U.S. diplomat, the ambassador to Kuomintang, Nelson Trusler Johnson, did I know who saved my life. He wrote that Song Meiling said to Mr. Chang, if you have any disadvantages for Han Qing, I will leave Taiwan immediately and leak all your secrets to the press. The secrecy was a compelling tool. I took Song Meiling as my confidant. Song Meiling knows me very well, she said to Chiang Kai-shek. He didn't want any money or domains, he wants sacrifice. Zhang Xueliang once said in his interview that he will take all the secrets to his tomb to honor the friendship with Song Meiling. De Gaulle was captured by German soldiers and had been imprisoned for 32 months confinement during World War I. De Gaulle made 5 unsuccessful escape attempts on the records and was moved to higher security facility, punished on his return with a longer period of solitary confinement and with withdrawal of privileges such as newspaper and tobacco. His attempts, including but not limited to hiding in the laundry basket, digging a tunnel, digging a hole through the wall, and creatively posing as a nurse to fool his guards. His shameful misfortune grew into depression that he was playing no part in the victory. Despite his dedication, he remained in captivity until the armistice. Some may be wicked, some may be despicable. Only when we put ourselves in their position did we know they were more miserable than we are. Zhang Xueliang did not loathe Chiang Kai-shek. He said, had any one of my subordinates detained me, I will definitely kill them. In 1956, Prime Minister of People's Republic of China, Zhou Enlai, said in a symposium commemorating the 20th anniversary of Xi'an incident, Zhang Xueliang is a hero through the ages, an immortal heroic figure. He has 3 achievements. One is flag replacement. Second, armed mediation of the Central Plains War. And the most important being launched, the Xi'an incident. Zhang Xueliang himself later said, there was no self in arresting Chiang Kai-shek. When Nanking sent Song Meiling and Song Ziwen to negotiate, I told them no selfish intentions at all. I just wanted to fight Japanese. No money demand, no domain demands whatsoever. Eventually, Chiang Kai-shek agreed to fight Japanese. Zhang Xueliang felt obligated to accompany Chiang Kai-shek back to Nanking. Only in this way could he express his conscience and selflessness. The young marshal was literally pushed himself forward, bared his neck. Chiang Kai-shek was happy to take him up for his offer. Zhang Xueliang said the purpose of detaining Chiang Kai-shek in Xi'an was try to stop the civil war and fight against Japanese together. There were various factions in Nanking at that time wanted Chiang Kai-shek died, and Nanking government reshuffled. If we hesitated sending him back to Nanking, there would be more civil strife in China than today. And then I, Zhang Xueliang, will become an unforgivable war criminal. If this was the case, I would have to commit suicide to apologize to the country. In January 1950, Zhang Xueliang moved to Inoi Hot Spring, Taiwan, and from then on began a 10-year period of confinement. The wooden house, designed and built by Japanese with minimal furniture, was humid and cold in the winter and rainy and leaky in the summer. The severely damaged road, or swamp if there was a storm, was the only path linked to reality. Inoi was far from town, making procurement difficult. Zhang Luheng, Zhang Xueliang's niece, recalled emotionally. Life was onerous. My uncle had to grow vegetables and raise chickens and ducks to keep minimum nutrition. My aunt, who was originally from a respectful family, had to sew her own clothes. My uncle's hearing and eyesight has been severely deteriorated. The inner feelings were never shared, except a hint of melancholy in her eyes. Seeing Chiang Kai-shek after 21 years of confinement was entered on the journal November 23, 1958. The old gentleman came out fetching me. I raised my hand in salute, tears rolling out of my eyes. The old man nodded and invited me in. I said, "President, you are old." The president replied, "You are bold." The old man's eyes filled with tears. There was slight silence. The situation was beyond description. The range extending only to 200 meters in between dawn and dusk was all freedom Zhang Xueliang gained. Besides, a group of secret agents were prepared for any eventualities, searching the house for strangers, guarding the premises, often sitting among whoever Zhang Xueliang went meeting expressionlessly. In addition, the chief guard Liu Yiguang brought his whole family, accompanying Zhang Xueliang for every word and deed. If worst comes to the worst, Liu confiscated lots of gifts posted to Zhang Xueliang, even withholding the gifts from the First Lady Song Meiling. The pain in his heart was inexplicable and unfathomable, perhaps which was the very reason how he receives the ineffable joy from God and lives such a long life. Zhang Luheng said, once we were having dinner together, he was excited telling his childhood story and joking around with high spirits, and suddenly fell into a contemplative look and congealed posture with tears streaming down his cheeks. He said, "No one from Zhang's family has gone to our hometown to bury incense on your grandfather's grave for decades." Zhang Xueliang left more than 500 letters of his life, of which more than 100 correspondence with Song Meiling was the most reserved and cherished. Most of the Song Meiling letters to Zhang Xueliang was in English and calling him Han Qing directly. Well, Young Marshal read in Chinese letters, occasionally used English, calling Song Meiling Mr. Chang and calling himself Liang. Zhang Xueliang and Song Meiling also conversed arts, religious beliefs, Bible preachings, wishing each other a Merry Christmas, birthday, and New Year's greetings. The letters also shows that the blood sisters affinity, a prominent best friends forever relationship in China between Song Meiling and Zhang Xueliang's ex-wife, Feng. In one of the Song Meiling's visit to California, she met sister Feng 3 times. He wrote on April 16, 1950, urging Song Meiling not to visit him. It takes about 5 to 6 hours to travel, only possible by jeeps and trucks from Hsinchu City to Illinois, Hot Spring. Outcropping rocks, bumps, vehicle overturn all the time. There are all kinds of inconveniences. I'm urging you please not to come here. We're willing to see you anywhere if permitted. His wife Zhao Yidi said what he loves was not the party affections, but the country and his compatriots. The young marshal transformed himself from a warlord first into a leader of Northeast 3 provinces, then into a patriot. He said, I'm a patriotic maniac. There were no worry of time to consume. Zhang Xueliang started to look back his life. Apart from tears, only time could wear everything away. While feeling being processed by time, conflicts would be reconciled as time goes by. As Zhang Xueliang recalled, he was deeply intrigued by her great temperament. Zhao's innocence was infectious, maybe one of a kind. He was thrown off balance momentarily. When she beams, all laden sky was swept away and countless stars flashing in the darkness. Zhao's presence had alleviated the whole situation in that 50 years incarceration. People who have difficulty understanding the young marshal's life choice asked, wasn't it a better choice being the vice president of the Republic of China than a prisoner in house? Once a soaring hawk was caught and put into the golden cage, instead, as it is only the freedom that matters. The golden cage may be valuable to ordinary people. It counts nothing to the young marshal. Gradually, the tide turned into their favors. Aided by the grace of First Lady Song Meiling and the slow yet sure recognition of an established fact that keeping the young marshal in custody was conducive to the government control over the Northeast Army. This was particularly achieved by the spiritual seeking, encouraging, and reawakening during the confinement. Song Meiling converted Chiang Kai-shek and Zhang Xueliang and Zhao Yidi to Christian, which successfully both in upholding the seats of power and adjusting Chiang Kai-shek's resentment towards Zhang Xueliang. Zhang Xueliang once said in his later years, Yu Fengzhi is the best wife, Zhao Yidi is the wife who shares wear and woe. Mrs. Bay in New York is the cutest girlfriend and love of my life. Certainly, Yu Fengzhi was not Zhang Xueliang's favorite woman. Come what may, I have no regrets in my life except for Yu Fengzhi, said Zhang Xueliang contemptuously. Mrs. Bay, maiden name Jiang Shiyun, was the wife of banker Bei Zuyi. The famous architect Yan Pei was her stepson. She had known Zhang Xueliang since childhood. Even so, the two were 20 years apart. During Zhang Xueliang's house arrest, she called Zhang Xueliang in different occasions and tried every associate to release Zhang Xueliang. When Zhang Xueliang was detained in Chongqing, Jiang Shiyun visited Zhang Xueliang by pulling few strings, especially Dai Li, the director of military intelligence service, the most dangerous man in Kuomintang. Even when they met in 1990, they were still have feeling for each other. On Zhang Xueliang's birthday, Jiang Shiyun held a birthday banquet in Manhattan, which was attended by dignitaries in the military and political circles of Kuomintang and their descendants. Jiang Xueliang felt he was still a vigorous celebrity and in good shape. For a person who has been in prison for half a century, dignity was panacea. After 27 years as an anonymous secretary and 50 years in captivity, Zhao Yidi didn't have much to compare with Jiang Shiyun, who's been pampered in the United States and had a smooth life. Zhao Yidi waited 27 years to become the Young Marshal's legal wife. The kind of insecurity that no one would understand. Zhao Yidi's feeling are more like a wife who shares the weird wall. What the Young Marshal misses more is Jiang Shiyun, his confidant who loves him desperately. Having said that, Zhao Yidi disregarded the fact. Her love was always Zhang Xueliang. Zhao Yidi recalled that it was kind of a severe test every day. Mouthing and melancholy was kind of understatement. Both of us were converted to Christianity. We follow the Bible doctrine for purifying our heart and devotedly serving the Lord, living the spotless and freeing from anything soils, adulterates, and corrupts in a moral and spiritual way. Cleaning our home and country yard had become part of our daily practice. After cleaning up, he had to ask me to come in from the front door, just like he inspecting his army to inspect house room by room. He enjoyed it like a child. Once I got up in the morning, saw the living room lights was on. In the twilight, Xueliang was using acupuncture of traditional Chinese medicine on his own acupuncture points. His arm was densely packed with small dots. He said, "Dr. Song gone to Southeast Asia. I observed him acupuncturing many times. I think I can acupuncture you safely. I'll try it on myself first." In that moment, I was in absolutely certainty that this man is the love of my life. He likes to go out to restaurants and meet friends. Every time he came back, he said that the food was not as good as mine, but he likes fun, which I'm not able to create for him. There is only you love. I'm not afraid of time. I'm not afraid of dying. Hardly can we judge the Young Marshal by the values and marriage standards of today. No one in that era was condemned for having 3 wives and 4 concubines in China. The time dictated. Most of Zhang Xueliang's property came from his first wife, Yu Fengzhi. Yu Fengzhi threw herself in the share tradings on the Wall Street and operating real estate. She was affluent when she died and left all her inheritance to Zhang Xueliang. Zhang Xueliang had been mulling over how should he be buried when time comes, struggling whether to bury in the Chinese way or in the Western way. According to the Chinese tradition, the soul returns to the hometown in China, so is his ashes. However, if you believe in the will of God, home is where the heart is. Coincidentally, the deliberation has been weighing up in Chiang Kai-shek and Chiang Jing-kuo descendants for years. According to Chiang Jing-kuo's A Month's Journal of Keeping Father's Spirit, we have been waiting to return to the mainland and then enshrine in Nanking Jinling Mountains to fulfill my father's wishes. Chiang Kai-shek always believed that he was the only one inherited the legacy of Sun Yat-sen, therefore should be buried next to the Muslim of Sun Yat-sen. And the President Chiang Jing-kuo wished to return to his hometown to be buried next to his mother in Fenghua, China's mainland. Burying in the mainland requires the approval of the People's Republic of China's government and the Taiwan authorities. Zhang Xueliang has been dignitarian all his life, reluctantly to be begging for any approvals again after the release from the incarceration. Zhang Xueliang's last wish was very much in line with his character. Zhang Xueliang donated all his legacy to Columbia University of the United States by virtue of his preeminent studying of Chinese sinology, cultural relics, ancient books, calligraphy, and paintings. The donation would be benevolent to the world. The precious calligraphy and paintings from Wei, Jin, Tang, Song dynasties, which dated back 1,000 years, were all kept by his wife Yu Fengzhi. Only when Columbia University to opening Chang's archives can we know how many calligraphs and paintings Zhang Xueliang kept. However mean your life is, meet it and leave it. Do not shine it or call it hard names. It's not so bad as you are. It looks poorest when you are richest. The fault finder will find fault in paradise. Love your life, poor as it is.